Gen Z, it's time to defend yourself because bosses are coming after you. So I saw this headline, bosses are firing Gen Z right after hiring them.
Is this how you tell me I'm losing my job?
No. So this comes from Fortune magazine. So this isn't just something like from a random hole on the internet. And I was like, all right, so they did an interview or they did a survey, sorry. And I'm like, how many people were actually in the survey? And it turns out they surveyed nearly 1,000 U.S. leaders. So this is like there's some legitimate research. So it was intelligent.com. And this is a platform dedicated to helping young professionals navigate the future of work. They surveyed nearly 1,000 U.S. leaders and came up with some shortcomings when it comes to Gen Z. So here's what the survey said. And I'm going to turn it over to our Gen Z members of the Bert Show. If you are also a Gen Z listener and you would like to call up and defend yourself, 1-855-BERT-SHOW, 855-237-8746. Or if you're a boss that would like to slam on some Gen Zers, by all means, you can call up too. All right, so here's why Gen Z is getting fired right after getting hired. So lack of initiative. Cited by 50% of surveyed leaders, many feel new grads aren't showing the drive employers expect. Next was unprofessional behavior. This includes not adhering to workplace norms like punctuality, appropriate language, and attire.
Abby was late yesterday.
Got him. Next is frequent lateness.
Hey, that was one time.
Tardiness to work or meetings has caused frustration among bosses and team members. Now, again, 1,000 bosses or 1,000 industry leaders were interviewed for this, okay? Next is disorganization. Employers are concerned about Gen Z's ability to stay on top of tasks and manage their workload effectively. Poor communication. Leaders mention issues with how new hires convey information, both written and verbal. Struggles with workload. 20% of bosses say fresh grads can't handle the job's day-to-day demands. So 1 in 6 bosses of these 1,000 people that were interviewed, 1 in 6 bosses are wary of hiring Gen Z again. 1 in 7 might avoid doing so entirely next year.
Wow.
I know. All right. What you got to say for yourself, Gen Z?
I think my problem with a lot of these surveys is I feel like most of this can just be attributed to youth. And I feel like every generation, the older one always has a problem with the younger one. And it's just because you're 22 years old, you're figuring out life. This is the real world for the first time. And I think there's maybe a lot of young people who haven't learned the hard lessons yet in the workplace. Whereas maybe there are some Gen Zers that are more prepared for work. Like I know when I started my job, I was there up on time. I'd be there at 8:58. I was ready to tackle whatever. Whereas maybe some people didn't quite have that kind of chutzpah drive yet. And so I think it does kind of just vary person to person. But I also think a lot of these mistakes or errors or just character flaws have a lot to do with just being young. And then you figure it out. And then Gen Z is going to be the one making these surveys about Gen Alpha.
I totally agree with that. I mean, these kind of surveys always kind of bother me in that way because it's obviously clumping a lot of people together at once. And I don't think it's entirely fair. I totally get what you're saying, Abby. Like it's just the youth. And when you're graduating college, it's hard to be that, know exactly what you're doing. I will say that I do agree with some of these things, like the inability to write simple emails and some things like that. But on the whole, I think this is just constantly going to be a problem for everybody down the road.
All right. It didn't take any time for a boss to call in.
Oh, gosh. It's my old boss.
Hey, Mike, welcome to the Bert Show. You are a boss. What is your take on Gen Z employees?
Well, I'll say I run a railroad outfit, and personally, I've hired, I would say, probably 20 people that were 25 and younger in the past 8 months, and seriously, 2 of them have worked out. And personally, I just feel like it's they don't want to work. They show up late. They don't have the drive that I'm used to seeing. That most of my workers have. You have to want to work. You know what I mean?
No, I hear what you mean, which is why only 2 of them are still there. You're like, yeah, sorry, bye.
Exactly.
All right, so we got Nicole, who is Gen Z. Now, would you like to defend Gen Z employees?
Yes.
Yes, I absolutely would love to defend Gen Z employees. I actually have been with my company for a little over a year, and I recently just got a new job offer for more money and more opportunity because the place that I'm in right now, they only pay for lifers, and I don't know how we're supposed to save up for a house or, do anything in this economy on this little amount of compensation that they're wanting to pay. I get we don't have the experience, but how are we supposed to get jobs if we don't get the experience? So for that reason, I've been accused of job hopping, but it's really just to further my career and have more opportunity and make more money.
Thank you, Nicole. All right, Casey, who is a hiring manager, thank you for joining the Bert Show. What have you noticed about Gen Z employees?
So I actually have a little bit of a different perspective on this. So most of the people that I hire are Gen Z. I am a hiring manager for a very large ambulance company. And I've noticed that with jobs I've hired for roles that are more administrative and then for EMTs and paramedics, and they tend to work out when there's more of a when there's more of a purpose to their job. So the ones who are who are coming up and becoming EMTs and paramedics, they're actually doing really well and lasting a lot longer. I went to a seminar a while ago because of the issues that we've been having with Gen Z, and the guy actually brought up that Gen Z is more purpose driven. So they're not how we were just like, okay, let's hustle, hustle, hustle and go. They do better in a job where they have a purpose.
Abby Jackson, would you agree with that?
I think that totally makes sense because the promises of what we're working hard towards is a little bit different and has shifted than what I think the generation prior to us could. Right now, buying a home is like an impossibility almost. And so if you're not working towards something like a huge goal like that, and that's not what you're working towards, having a purpose-driven job maybe can fill that gap instead.
I think that's 100% true because I went into a career where I love what I do and I feel like I have a purpose, but I think a lot of people who are stuck behind these cubicles where in the past, maybe 50 years ago, if you just worked your way to the top and you worked hard, you were promised the American dream of buying a home and having a family, whereas now it's just not so simple. And I think having more access to information through social media and stuff, I think a lot of Gen Zers are having this existential crisis of what is the purpose of it all? Why am I working? And if I don't have that, then I am going to exhibit some of those poor working behaviors.
Intern Sadie, who is in college but will be entering the workforce, I'm sure this is lovely to hear. I'm sure this is going to be the highlight of your day.
Anybody hiring and wants to hire a fellow Gen Z, I'm looking for work in May. But I have a different perspective because I have an on-campus position where I'm a staff lead as a Gen Zer for Gen Zers. And my boss is also a Gen Zer.
Oh, wow.
So there's just a trifecta of Gen Z. And
Nothing getting done. Not a damn thing.
And we do have some communication issues, but at the end of the day, it's like a lot of them with the whole purpose thing, like they just want to have fun at work. Like that's all it is. They just want to enjoy their job and get it done. It's not, I can push them to get their work done, but it just has to be done like creatively. Like I have to kind of give them little weird creative tasks to do to get stuff done. But if I just say, I need this done now, it's not happening.
All right, let's take this last call. Alex, who is a manager and would like to crap on Gen Z employees. Go for it.
I definitely would. I am a millennial and I am tired of babysitting the Gen Zs, okay? If I ask you to do something, please do it. I don't have time to sit here and make up these creative things for you to do. We all have a job. We're all grown up. Let's come to work and do what we have to do.
Thank you, Alex. I feel like she really needed to get that off her chest. She was holding that in for a second.
The Bert Show.